This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Linode, high-performance cloud hosting for everyone. Visit linode.com/MacVoices and take $20 off your first server package. And by ATTO, the power behind the storage, providing network and storage connectivity for Mac users for more than 30 years. Visit atto.com to learn more. Welcome back to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, I say this so often whenever we have him. It's been way too long since we got to talk to Bob, Dr. LeVitus, and we're going to change that right now. Welcome, Bob, Dr. LeVitus. Good to see you, Bob.
Right this moment.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you.
It's great to see you. Are those audio engine speakers behind you?
They are indeed.
They look very familiar.
Yes, and I love them.
I have a pair over. You can't see them from where you are, but they're on either side of this.
Do you have the whites, the reds, the blacks?
I have the little whites now. The little Bluetooth whites.
Oh yeah.
I have the big whites like you have back there in my other room, and I have also their single Bluetooth speaker in the kitchen. I think their speakers are the best speakers for the money around. You know, if you're concerned about just the way your music sounds, they seem to get playing compressed or streamed music as well as anybody else. I mean, I've got studio monitors on my desk, and I don't hardly ever use them. I use them sometimes when I'm mixing stuff because they're more pure. They just don't sound better.
I agree, and I love my HomePods for different uses. But those what you see in back there is what I use to edit the show and to do different audio projects. And yeah, I love the way they sound, and I love the way they sound to music.
That's the thing. Is I'll walk in my office, and even though they're connected to the computer, I'll Bluetooth to them from my iPhone when I want to listen to music because they're really good sounding little music speakers. My studio monitors, which are more accurate, I think, just don't make music sound as good.
Yeah.
You know, I use them when I'm editing video because I want to know what's going on the tape, what's going on the disc. And they actually, give me a better representation than the audio engines, but the audio engines just sound better.
Yeah.
I like them. Yeah, my son likes them too. I turned him on to them probably a decade ago, and he's bought a couple pairs now. He's like, yeah, why would I want something else?
Yeah, I've been looking covetously at the red models. These same ones, but just in red. I like the looks of those, and like you say, the sound is just phenomenal.
My audio interface is a Focusrite Scarlett, so they would kind of match.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. So we haven't talked to you for a while, and the first thing I want to make sure that folks know is that you're taking some time off to talk to us from not one, not two, but 3 different book projects.
Yes, but they're not all at once. They're kind of sequential.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Yeah, well, not exactly, because there's some overlap between Mac OS and iPhone based on like the release dates of the operating systems. So I will have to work on those simultaneously. The third one, though, the one that we haven't mentioned, which isn't Catalina for Dummies or iPhone for Dummies, the third one, I think is coming out in February, and I get to do that after both of the other ones are completed and in bed. So I can focus my full attention on Garageband for Dummies, 2nd edition.
Second edition, Bob, that seems a little surprising. I would have thought there would have been an update before now.
Well, I beg every year. My publisher, we talk about a Mac OS book, and we talk about an iPhone book, we talk about an iPad book. And by the way, Brian's helping me with the iPad book this year.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, because otherwise I would have been working on 3 at the same time, and I thought, that's crazy, I know people who can write. So Brian's doing the heavy lifting on the iPad book while I do the Mac OS and iPhone. The iPhone I actually have a partner on. I always have. That's been a co-authorship with my friend Ed Bagg, who's the I don't know what his title is, but he's at USA Today. I think it's tech columnist or tech editor or something. Anyway, he writes for USA Today. He's really good. And because those books need to be turned around so fast, my publisher decided a long time ago it was going to be best if we had a team of 2 writers, each working on different chapters so that we could do it twice as fast.
And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, the thing about books like that is the first one on the shelves usually wins the war. Not always, but, let's put it this way. If you're not first on the shelf or close to it, you left food on the table. You left money on the table. So, the publishers really work hard to get this stuff out pretty much day and date with the release of the new software. So, if you buy a new iPhone next October, whenever they come out, you should be able to go get the new iPhone for Dummies. What is it, the 14th edition? I'm not sure. I think it's the 14th edition. So the Mac ones are easy. This one's Catalina for Dummies. But iPhone for Dummies is the name of all 14 editions.
Wow.
15 if you count iPhone 10 with an X for Dummies, which we did the year that they introduced it because it was so different. We thought, heck, I don't want to have to explain how to use swiping up and clicking the home button every time I talk about that stuff. So since we couldn't figure out a way to do that gracefully the first year, we had a Mac OS 10 exclusive version. So there's been 15 iPhone 10 for Dummies. Did I say Mac OS 10? iPhone.
iPhone.
Anyway.
So I assume that means that you're running the betas of both Catalina and
oh, no, I would never run beta software on my... No, I'm kidding. Of course I am. Yeah, and by the way, I usually... I didn't do it this year because I do it every year, and I feel like I hate writing the same column year in and year out, but I'll say it on this podcast here. Don't go running beta software on any machine that you really care about the stuff that's on it. That's pretty much it. It's a pain in the butt to regress. I mean, you can do it, but it's not fun. And I've already had to erase my iPad and my other Mac, which are running iPad OS and Catalina, both at least once running this beta software because, stuff got munged. They've been stable for a while now, but you don't want to run this on your machines that you depend on every day. Trust me, that's a bad, bad, bad idea.
Bob, there's two things on that point. First of all, I agree. It's a very bad idea. Second, though, it's beta software, and I won't speak for you, but I know I don't have time to waste on something that might not work. In fact, it probably won't work in certain cases.
Not
and then
only
I've got to go.
You don't know what it's not going to work with. That's the thing. What if it doesn't work with Zoom? All right, so now you've just upgraded your computer and you can't record podcasts anymore.
Yeah,
that's bad.
Yeah, so, but I also get a little frustrated with, and I'm including some friends of ours who are writing all these tips and tricks and articles about Catalina and iOS 13, and it's not even out yet. And
I avoid doing that. I might write one column about what the features that I think you're going to like most when it comes out are, or something. But I'm not writing about this. And you know what? It'd be wrong to write about it yet because a lot of stuff is unpolished. And I've been through this game with Apple so many times. I know not to depend on anything I'm seeing today being in the releases. You know, the stuff that's in the betas now could very well change. If there's something that isn't working right, chances are it'll be fixed before it ships or soon thereafter. But, you know, interface changes, wording changes, up until the last minute, you never know. And up until the last few betas, I certainly, you know, when they start to talk about final candidates, then I start thinking, okay, I might, maybe, because I've run all the betas on another machine. And by then, it's probably been 3 or 4 betas since I've had any issues. I think, okay, it's time to put it on the real machine. But I always keep a clone of the last, you know, good previous system for like a month, just in case. If things go wonky, I can always go back to that. You know, I can boot from that environment and know that everything I need worked.
Yeah, I know. I have an external SSD in my Amazon basket that I need to buy because I want to be able to boot from an SSD something fast as opposed to a rotational drive right now with Mojave and also with Catalina.
That is not a USB stick. That is actually a USB SSD.
Oh, that's the Envoy from OWC?
It certainly is. And It's 120 gigabytes, which is perfectly big enough to put an operating system or two on. That's the emergency boot disk. You know, if I need to boot, I don't have the patience anymore to wait for a rotational drive to boot.
Yeah.
It makes me crazy. Like, really? 5 minutes? Are you kidding?
Well, and the other thing too, APFS is really not built for rotationals, so you can have a problem there. And I don't want to say, I want to be careful here. I'm not saying it won't work, but I just know that there have been some discussions about inconsistencies, and it's just not optimized for the rotationals like previous versions of the OS were. So.
Well, I have continued to format every disk except my startup disk as HFS Plus journal because of that. Because I don't think APFS works very well on rotational drives yet, if it ever will. But more than that, none of the utilities really handle APFS very well yet. Disk Warrior still doesn't really do anything for it. Drive Genius, I don't know. You know, I'm not sure that I would trust Drive Genius with an APFS. I guess if it's hosed, I might. But really, the drive utilities still aren't very good at repairing or recovering or fixing APFS disks if they fail. Even disk utility still isn't that great. Although I have to say, the ability to check a disk and do first aid live, even though it locks you up and you can't do anything else, it's still easier than rebooting and doing that whole dance we used to have to do.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Apple gives and Apple takes away. Hey, I have to thank Apple. I wrote this song a while ago.
I knew we were going to get to this.
Well, it just occurred to me, this is the perfect place to mention that. I wrote this little song, iTunes Must Die. And I basically begged Apple to kill iTunes, put it out of its misery. It's a bloated, what is it? It's a toxic hell stew. First, I submitted it to the iTunes store, where it was rejected. And I really wanted a reason. I kept asking, why? And I got no response, which is sad. I would have loved to have seen. Well, why wouldn't we reject it? We're iTunes. Anyway, they wouldn't sell it. Amazon did, though. And it was on all the streaming services. Every once in a while, I get three quarters of a penny.
Hey, that's good. Economic stimulation.
I sold 2 copies on Amazon for 99 cents each, one to my wife and one to someone who knows. Amazon doesn't report who bought your thing. They don't have to.
So if you're the person that bought the one copy of iTunes Must Die,
Yeah,
contact me.
That's a very exclusive copy. That's one of
Yes.
2 retail copies ever sold. But it is a free download. Just search for iTunes Must Die free download, and you'll find the blog post where I announced its freedom. You can also download the lyrics and the chords, and there's some video from the unreleased making, music video that I never finished. I kind of lost momentum when it got rejected by the iTunes store.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's touch on that for just a second. How do you feel about the way they broke up iTunes? Do you think it's the way it should be?
Yeah, it remains to be seen how easy the whole syncing versus buying versus playing conundrum works out with these new apps. I think it's probably better. I think, you go to the podcast app to find or listen to podcasts. You go to the music app to find or listen to music. You go to the TV app for stuff that plays like video, and use the Finder to sync. Okay, I think that makes sense. In the song, I said, just make us a new app just for syncing. But I did say that I thought iTunes should be broken up into more than one app because it was a bloated mess. It tried to do everything, and it was confusing even for people who used it since the first day.
It was confusing, and listen, we all second guess, okay, and I do have to wonder. There's something to be said for having it all in one app, or
when I want to listen to music, that's the thing I'm doing. When I want to listen to a podcast, that's the thing I'm doing. When I want to watch video, that's the thing I'm doing. I'd just as soon have them be in their own worlds. They don't have to be all together. I don't listen to music and all of a sudden think, I want to watch The Simpsons. If I want to watch The Simpsons, I probably want to go to a different device and, whatever. I don't mind them being broken up, only because sometimes having it all together made everything harder. Certainly,
it did that.
The whole interface for syncing was, it was compiled from code poo.
Well, it got to the point that you could not figure out how to do certain things, and we're hearing reports about early versions of the music app and the video app and the podcast app, and it's like, okay, I don't really care until it ships. That's when I'll start doing some evaluation.
Here's the thing: I haven't beaten on it terribly hard yet because I haven't written those chapters yet, but I would be surprised for it to work smoothly while I'm writing the chapters. I have to work through it and leave myself notes, because what happens is I get the chapters back and we wait for the final candidate. And then I can, go in and fix all the things that either didn't work or didn't work the way I expected before we print. So, I'm used to seeing things misbehave. And if you see people writing about it on the internet, it's beta software. It's supposed to misbehave.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole idea is for it to misbehave and for people to report the misbehaviors so that they can fix it before it ships. But, you got to expect that stuff. And so how much worse could it be than iTunes, which, I have a huge library. I have, 30,000 songs of my own plus all my Apple Music stuff. And I don't know, hundreds of movies, all in my iTunes library. And that thing was bloated and slow. Launching iTunes took a long time. the iTunes database became corrupted, yeah, not regularly, but often enough to be annoying. It really, I think it was time to put it out of its misery. And thank you, Apple, for heeding my advice at long last.
This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Linode, your solution when you need a virtual server in the cloud. Need a virtual cloud server like now? Linode has you covered. You can deploy a new server customized to your purposes with the features you want in seconds. Time is money, and if you have that immediate need, Linode is there. And even if you don't need your new server that quickly, Linode is there. And these aren't just any servers. These are SSD-based, 40 gigabit, high-performance processor-powered servers that are suitable for web hosting, distributed applications, hosted servers, and more. Pick from a simple $5 per month Nanodes plan, or ramp the whole way up to a high-powered dedicated CPU. When you need to upgrade, as your requirements demand, that upgrade is just a click away. To make some deployments even easier, there's a host of one-click installs, with everything from Minecraft to WordPress. Need to locate your server in a particular location for either performance or legal reasons? No problem. Linode has data centers all over the world, including their newest in Canada and one coming soon in Mumbai. Perhaps most important, though, is their pricing. No surprises, no hidden costs. You pay for what you need, and you pay for what you use on an hourly basis. No hidden data transfer fees like some of the larger cloud services. It's your data. Why would you expect to pay to access it? With Linode, you don't. These are just a few of the features that Linode brings to the table. I want you to visit linode.com/MacVoices right now and see what all the fuss is about, and take $20 off your first server package. Again, linode.com/MacVoices takes $20 off your first server package. You've been thinking about that virtual server all your own for a long time. Make it happen today with Linode. Thanks to Linode for their support of MacVoices.
So I want to take a feature that is coming to Catalina, and I'm going to do something I almost never do on MacVoices, and I'm going to wrap it with a rumor and see what you think.
Okay.
The rumor is the 16-inch iPad. And the Catalina feature is Sidecar.
16-inch iPad. That would make it bigger than the MacBook Pro screen.
Oh no! Oh, excuse me. Scratch that. No, I'm sorry. It is. I'm confusing my rumors. It's a 16-inch MacBook Pro. I'm sorry.
Oh, instead of a 15.4.
Instead of a 15. Right.
What?
Right. And so, I'm looking at this and thinking, okay, 15.4-inch MacBook Pro, and Catalina using Sidecar with an iPad Pro. You have a pretty nice mobile production setup there, a multi-screen mobile setup that now theoretically addresses some of your touch concerns for the interface, but you still have the best of the MacBook Pro.
Well, that's going to be the thing that's cool, is to see how the touch integration works. I've been doing this. This is a 10-1 Designs. This is called, what is it called? Clippy. I don't know what it's called, but 10-1 Designs makes it. You put your iPad in one side, you clip the other to the side of your MacBook Pro screen, and it holds it right up there on the monitor, so you have two screens. You can have two of them, one on each side. Then you use something like this little device here. This is a Duet, a Luna display. So this little dongle lets me wirelessly connect my iPad and use it as a second screen with touch, which is kind of cool. When I travel, I will take this little clippy thing and my iPad and this thing. And if I'm in a hotel room trying to edit video or record audio or really do anything except write, because writing I can do on one screen. I don't need that much peripheral stuff. But to edit video, man, having all that extra real estate makes all the difference in the world. So I've been doing this with third-party stuff for years, a couple years already. I reviewed this little clip thing. What the heck is that called? 10-1 Designs clip. That's killing me. I'm gonna look it up while we're doing it.
Yeah, but you're right. I don't have. I've used Duet. I have not tried the Luna.
Well, Luna has like no lag, and it's just brilliant for wireless. But I think Duet plugged in is pretty close. I don't use it as like a tablet with a stylus. I use it with my finger, but I like having the ability to touch stuff. I wish they would make a hybrid Mac with a touch screen. That would be happy for me. I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't know why not. Maybe because Microsoft did it first.
Well, I know when I'm on the road for any length of time, I mean that is my setup. Not with, but I use them as almost two separate machines, so that I can have my email over on one thing, and I'm working on videos or audio or whatever on the laptop, or maybe I have a video playing, something over on the iPad. So, but there's just no question. The more screen real estate you have, the better off you are.
Yeah, and I wouldn't do it like if I'm just out running around, I don't take a second screen around. But if I'm going to be in a hotel room like for a few days, yeah, absolutely. If I've got real work to do, having mail on one screen and a web browser on the other, or my writing on one screen and a web browser on the other. Usually for writing, I'm okay on one screen, but if I brought a second screen, I certainly would set it up and use it for everything. And at home, I've got two screens. I've got, the 15-inch right here, which is on the MacBook Pro, and I've got a 27-inch monoprice thing over, that's my main display. Usually I would be sitting like this, facing the bigger display. And this thing is called Mountie.
Mountie. Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I remember that.
Mountie
yes.
Python.
Ouch.
Well, it works. And it's kind of cool. I actually used it on an airplane once. I was flying to Germany and I needed to edit something. And the cabin, I was in coach, of course, and the cabin was pretty empty, so nobody was next to me. So I took two tray tables down, put the MacBook Pro kind of bridging them, and put a second screen on and edited video. I had a mouse, too. So I was very efficient. At 30,000 feet.
It makes a difference. There's no question.
And I can't sleep easily on an airplane. So being productive kept my mind off the fact that I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
I got stuff done.
This edition of MacVoices is supported by ATTO Technology, the power behind the storage. For more than 30 years, ATTO Technology has been providing network and storage connectivity for Mac users. They offer the most connectivity choices for Mac OS, with a wide range of Thunderbolt and host bus adapters for high performance and low latency networked storage connectivity. No matter which Mac you use, ATTO can be trusted to provide the latest drivers and tools to meet your needs. They work with partners to deliver end-to-end solutions to better store, manage, and deliver data, your data. Network adapters, storage controllers, and more for connectivity that include Fibre Channel, SAS, SATA, iSCSI, Ethernet, and yes, Thunderbolt, are all part of what ATTO brings to the table. I've had several fans of MacVoices write me to tell me that they are using and are very, very happy with ATTO products, and they're glad to see ATTO sponsoring MacVoices. And I am too. Are you one of them? Let me know. And if you're not yet, then visit atto.com and see what they can do for you. ATTO, the power behind the storage at atto.com. That's ATTO.com. Thanks to ATTO for their support of MacVoices.
So one other thing I wanted to touch on with you is the departure of Jony Ive. Johnny's been with us for a long time. He's had a huge influence on Apple and on the devices we are all carrying right now. Is this the end of an era? Is this just a change, in your opinion? That
only time will tell. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of the secret sauce was Johnny. Just like I don't know how much of the secret sauce was Steve. Apparently a lot, but how much impact will this have going forward on Apple's designs? Well, I don't know. How many products have they come out with in the past 10 years that are stellar designs? Watch, maybe, AirPods, HomePod, maybe, I don't know. But maybe the new Mac Pro looks like a cheese grater, kind of. That might be. iMac. But, I mean, will something that cool come along without him? Probably. There's got to be other people who design cool stuff that have good sensibilities. He didn't work in a vacuum.
But it does seem like we, and I'm going to say we, the royal we, have a tendency to isolate these companies that have thousands of people, and you ascribe the successes and the failures to one, maybe two people. And I think it's an injustice to the rest of Apple's design team, and I take nothing away from Johnny.
Absolutely.
But there's so many great people there. Johnny could not have had every single. Yeah, he could not have had every single good idea that went into all these products.
No, and if he's a good manager or steward, he surrounded himself with really good people. And so, yeah, maybe it'll make a difference, but maybe there's another Jony Ive in there who will, only make himself known once the real Jony Ive leaves.
Yeah.
You're making room, and nature abhors a vacuum.
It does, and you have to wonder. There appear to have been some mistakes, that had to do with the choices of design over function. And I'm not suggesting that we're going to go back to the beige boxes, that everything is modular and you pull things in and out.
No, but I think there's a good argument to be made that thin keyboards suck eggs, and the desire to be the thinnest thing on earth has caused Apple's laptops to have basically unusable keyboards for years. I mean, I can type on it if I have to, but it isn't pleasant.
See, I will disagree with that. I don't find the keyboards bad. Yeah, I know you have that monster.
I need real. Hey, you're younger than me, but I need tactile feedback. I need it to bounce right. Those keys don't bounce. They're almost like typing on glass. They have a little bounce, and also, my fingers are big. If you look closely, you'll notice that like the N and the H and the G are bigger. Because why? Because the finger that you use to type those keys is bigger. And for me, with these big paws, having that big keyboard where I can, keep my hands spread out a little bit rather than trying to. I really have a hard time being comfortable typing with my hands that close together. Even on my 15-inch, but even more so on my 11-inch iPad. No, 9.7-inch iPad, which I have that great keyboard, a bridge keyboard. But even so, typing on it is, it's like on that Microsoft behemoth that sits on my desk, I can hit 60. On all the other ones, I'm lucky to do 35 or 40.
Right.
That makes a big difference. That makes my workday a third longer if I, don't have a good keyboard to use. And for writing, that matters. I mean, it adds up over the course of a few hours.
Yeah, and you, I mean, you have to have the right tool for the right job,
And you can get used to that, but should you have to? Isn't there a compromise? Isn't there like some halfway between where you could? I mean, I'm looking at my MacBook Pro, and there's a lot of unused space where the speakers are, the grills on the side there on either side of the keyboard. You could have given a little more air. You know, you could have made it so the keys weren't so close together, and I think it might have typed a little better. And I think if the keys had a little bit more travel. Ooh, do you hear that? Ooh, big thunder.
Oh, I thought I heard something.
Huge thunder. Yeah, this could be interesting. Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think Apple is still going to come out with great designs because that's one of their hallmarks. They don't just slap things together. I think the obsessiveness with thin is good to right up to the point where it becomes a problem for function.
That's the thing is, I think maybe if there was a fatter MacBook Pro that had a better keyboard and longer battery life, it would be a very popular piece of kit.
I agree.
I'm just saying, you know.
No,
I'm just saying.
No, but I absolutely think that there's a market for something as thin as the MacBook.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that doesn't mean every laptop has to be really thin and have a crappy keyboard.
Correct.
There should be a Pro line with real keyboards.
Yeah. Well, and
what do you think of that Mac Pro? I saw somewhere that you could spend like $49,000 outfitting one, and that's before you buy the monitor or the $1,000 stand.
You know, Bob, they finally built a pro machine. I mean, a real pro machine. I've said this a million times on the show. We all like to think of ourselves as pros, and some of us.
I can't justify it.
Well, I can't either. And
I mean, I'd love to say I need 8K video and 16 streams of it. And I mean, it would be great to need that. And to know that I could buy that, you know, that kind of horsepower, which used to only be available if your name was maybe Lucas or something, or Pixar.
Right.
I mean, that's amazing amount of horsepower, and with all the expandability, it's almost, I don't know, limitless. I don't know how many pieces you can add on, but you can, with all those extra graphic processors and stuff.
Well,
it's mind-boggling what you could do with a quote desktop machine.
Well, the way I look at it is that if you really need, and I mean need, that kind of power, you can afford it. Because if you have that need, then you can justify buying that power to get your work done fast.
Are there enough of those people to make a business case for that computer? That's the question. I don't know the answer. It remains to be seen. But the trash can Mac Pro, which was super expandable because of that Thunderbolt, which, you know, may or may not qualify, but it certainly wasn't the pro machine people were waiting for with PCI slots and stuff. It was a flop as far as I can tell. I mean, it never sold very well. It's only been updated a couple times in 7 years, 5 years, whatever. But it certainly, I don't think it was a big hit.
No, it wasn't.
And that was more of a mainstream computer than this. So I don't know. Maybe the margins are so great on this that, you know, a couple of $50,000 sales, and, you know, they'd have to sell thousands of MacBook Pros to make that much money. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see. I wish I could afford one. I'm going to see if I can get one to review. Although I can't even make a case for that. What am I going to do to push it to the limits?
Well, but Bob, that's
I don't
kind
even
of
have a camera that'll shoot 8K. I'll call up those nice people at Red.
Yeah.
Let me borrow one of those cameras.
But to me, that's sort of the point here, that I'm like you, I cannot possibly justify it. I can barely justify an iMac Pro. Okay.
Did you get an iMac Pro?
No. That's it.
I'm not sure I would even go there. I might go for the iMac with the i9 processor that's not the Pro, because I don't really need all the super duper whizzy stuff. I could probably save about $1,000 by just not getting a Pro, but getting, the highest spec iMac.
Well,
but I'm still not doing that yet either. I am going to have to replace my MacBook Pro, my 2015 MacBook Pro, because it won't do Sidecar, and I'm going to need to, do that. So I have I have a business case for replacing my computer this year.
Well, and you can make a business case for a MacBook Pro. Well, that's not fair.
I don't know if I'm going to replace it with a MacBook Pro, though. See, I have a MacBook Air that I use mostly for writing books. So that's what's running the beta operating system. And it's a 2014 or something, but, it's fine for that. And I don't know, I guess I would probably go for another MacBook Pro with as much processor and memory as I can afford. Only because I do travel and I can't edit video on a MacBook Air, really, even with more monitors.
Yeah, no.
So that can't be my main thing. It's funny. I've gone on a couple of short trips lately where all I took was my iPad, because all I had to do was email and a little light writing. I was like, with that Bridge keyboard, I can go away for a couple days and not have to take a real laptop.
The Bridge, I mean, the Apple keyboard, the Folio keyboard is great, but the Bridge is a whole nother level.
Well, the Bridge actually feels almost like a keyboard to me. I mean, my fingers are still a little scrunched, but at least it's not like typing on glass. And the Apple one, it's like there's no tactile feel to it. You can't really tell when you've clicked the key. You get used to hitting them pretty hard, and you can type pretty fast on it, but the other thing is it's kind of soft, so you can't really put it on your lap and type like crazy, whereas the Bridge is aluminum, so you put it on your lap, you can still type, and I like that.
Well, you end up with a form factor of a small laptop is what it amounts to.
People have walked up to me when I use it in public and asked me what kind of little MacBook that is, because that's what it looks like. It's got an Apple logo. I mean, look here, I can hold it up. Look at that. Oh yes. And you know what I always tell them? You'll love this. Oh yeah, that's my my MacBook Mini beta. Oh, oops, I'm not supposed to show that to you. Sorry.
And there's
I can't talk about that.
There's my Mini, my iPad Mini with a Bridge keyboard.
Yep.
And so I have the same reaction if I take this anywhere.
If I go and sit at a bar holding that, invariably somebody will walk up and go, I've never seen a MacBook Pro that small.
Yep. To your point, you've got the Apple logo because it's an iPad, and there you go.
It says iPad clearly, but that's okay.
Yeah, but they don't.
Conversation starter. And the Bridge keyboard is just usable everywhere you go. If you have to type on your lap. It's also the best stand I've ever had for my iPad because it lets you put your iPad at any angle.
Agreed.
It's like I used to carry a stand around for airplanes.
Now you don't have to.
No, any angle you want, the perfect angle.
Yeah.
Highly recommend Bridge keyboards, and they do not pay me to say that.
They don't pay me either, but I love them. I'm with you.
Yeah, if I buy another iPad, the first thing I'd buy for it is another Bridge keyboard.
So before we run out of time, I want to do something that we've talked about for a long time.
Have a Macworld All-Star Band reunion?
Well, yeah, that's fine too. That'll work. No, Bob, we've talked a lot about your website and your whole thing with working smarter for Mac users, and the fact that you use a lot of third-party services to run that business and that website. And
yes.
We can't do a complete list here. Maybe we'll make this something we do every so often.
Shallow dive.
Yeah, but But pick 3 apps that you use or services or whatever behind the scenes
Okay.
of working smarter for Mac users, and tell us about them and why you like them and how they're working out for you.
So I host a lot. I've got, I think, 5 courses now at Thinkific. I'll send you the URL for looking for the courses, and you can look for yourself. But Thinkific is the platform I use to host all of my learning materials. It's terrific. It's an all-in-one platform for e-learning. I upload my videos, and it just has templates that, put everything in the right place and let you have lessons and interactive chat for each lesson and downloads, and you can sell things. You can have memberships. It's got stuff I don't use. But the important thing is it's totally stable. And the editor, the back end, the part that I see when I'm building a course is really easy to use and easy to understand. It's very reasonably priced. Their tech support's very good. And, if I were trying to build an online course and host it myself or write the code or run it in WordPress or, I don't know, anything else other than choose a different host platform, I couldn't have done what I've done. I wouldn't have 5 classes. Man, I'd be spending all my time trying to make it work. This just works. And it's, I've had very, very few. I've had hundreds of students over the past 2 years, and I've had very few complaints about the technology itself. And the other thing I love is it's optimized for mobile. And I make all of my lessons for all of my courses. I shoot for 5 minutes or less, and 10 minutes maximum. So almost all the lessons are 5 minutes, 6 minutes, less than that, which makes them great for when you've got a few spare minutes somewhere. You can just crank it up on your iPhone or your iPad, and they look and respond really well. I've taken a lot of Thinkific courses, and I find myself, if I have downtime and I've got a device nearby, boy, that's a great thing to do. Take a 5-minute lesson, put your AirPods in, and learn something. So Thinkific is one. You got to have an email provider. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, before you go on, spell that for us to make sure we get it right.
Thinkific, and I will send you the link to my particular store, and where you can look at all my courses have free sample lessons. You can sign up for Thinkific and sample a bunch of stuff for free. So please do that if you're interested. And I don't know how Chuck does this, but maybe the URL will appear on screen or something.
Yeah, I'll get it in the lower third. Or folks, if it's not in the lower third, definitely it'll be in the show notes. And I'm sorry, Bob, I want to make sure we were getting that right. So you were talking email.
So email, that's the other thing is, okay, so now you need to keep in touch with people who have shown an interest in your products or who want to hear from you regularly, or, so you've got this, you offer things for free so people will sign up for your email list, and somebody's got to do the back end of that. And it's not trivial. You can't really do it in mail after you get to about 50 or 100 people. And I've got thousands. So you need a professional mail handler. I think most people are most familiar with MailChimp. I started with them. And they've actually gotten very good of late. And if you're with them, they might be all you ever need. But I wanted more. I wanted to be able to tag stuff. And I wanted to be able to write automations where if you signed up, you'd get this letter today. And then you could click a button and get another letter right away if you wanted, or otherwise get one tomorrow. It's got logic built in. And so I've used a couple since MailChimp, and they're both very good. And if I had to pick one or the other, whichever one I got the better deal on. So one of them is called ActiveCampaign, and the other is called ConvertKit. So they're both really good. Both have strengths and weaknesses. They both have great automation. I think maybe ConvertKit's a little easier to use, but ActiveCampaign probably is a little deeper and has a little bit more potential for building things the way you want them to work. I especially liked ActiveCampaign's lead scoring, which allowed you to assign points for specific events. So if somebody had been to your sales page, you could give them 100 points. And if somebody had 300 points, you could offer them a free consulting call or something. But you kind of knew who was the most interested by their behavior and could then act upon it automatically. So automation's big for me. I'm a solopreneur. For any of this stuff to pay off for me, it's got to work while I'm sleeping or while I'm writing or doing something else. So I really like ActiveCampaign or ConvertKit for my email. What else do I use? Oh, I know, Squarespace for my website. I actually use ClickFunnels now for the sales pages, but for my actual website, and I still love Squarespace. I've built beautiful websites for myself. You can go there. That's workingsmarterformacusers.com. But I built that all myself. I mean, I'm not an HTML programmer. I'm not really a web developer or anything else. But I've got a store and a blog and a homepage, and coming soon, a woodworking store. You can buy my woodworkings. But the thing is, Squarespace makes it possible for me to put together those kinds of things really painlessly and with my skill set. It's like if you asked me to build a gallery for my wood projects where I was going to display 10 things and offer them for sale, I wouldn't know where to start trying to make a web page that would do that. And it's all built right into Squarespace, and it looks beautiful. It's like I could probably spend a lot of money on a web developer and designer and pay people to make what I want, or I could accept that, we just had a power surge and I'm on battery.
Oh.
Well, so far the Wi-Fi is not, we're still moving, aren't I? Okay.
Yeah, we're still good.
I just had a flicker. That was, wow. It's pouring here, by the way. I can hear it. I don't know if you can, but the wind is howling, the trees are bending, and it's pouring rain. Give it about 5 minutes, it'll stop, probably. But
we don't want you to endanger your equipment. So
my equipment is fine. My equipment's got a uninterruptible power supply between it and the lightning. And with any luck at all, it'll blow up the UPS, but not the equipment. And then we have insurance too. So.
Yeah, definitely heard that. Before we go, I've since you mentioned it, I am not familiar with ClickFunnels. What is ClickFunnels?
Oh, ClickFunnels is so here's the thing. I wanted when you get to the page where you're going to buy something, I wanted to be able to offer upsells and one-time offer and all kinds of stuff that you can't really do inside of Thinkific sales pages or Squarespaces. And so ClickFunnels kind of is a tool that has all of this stuff built in for building sales pages, let's say. So it's just, it's designed so it captures your information once and then starts offering you the upgrade. So you've already paid for something. You don't have to type anything in again. It's like a one-click thing. And it's difficult to do without having somebody, do it for you. So they have a lot of templates. They have a lot of training, free training. And the guy that built it he's a brilliant online marketer. His name's Russell Brunson. And you may have read some of his stuff, but he's a pretty brilliant online marketer. I've read a lot of his work, and I don't always agree with him, but he has a lot of good insight into what works when you're trying to do what I'm doing, which is sell a product via online advertising. Not as easy as it looks.
So if I got my numbers right, that's 4 services that we talked about, and I know there are at least a couple more that we'll come back another time and chat about. But I think it's interesting. There's so many great services out there. The one that you use that I'm familiar with, because I have my personal blog on it, and I also have a couple other websites on it, is Squarespace.
Yeah, it's just great.
You
For
know, and
$10 a month, it's like, gosh. Every time before Squarespace, every time I ever wanted to do anything that required a website, we were looking at $1,000 or more up front, just to get the thing built. And then changes cost money. It used to be a nightmare for me because I didn't want to sit down and learn HTML coding. I didn't want to spend my time tweaking a website. I wanted it to just work. And Squarespace just does.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for running your own server. There's a lot to be said for working with WordPress.
If you need to for a reason, all right, yes. But for me, WordPress was one of those time sucks. It's like, oh my God, so I have to read another tutorial and get another plugin and learn. Oh man, it's just too much. Squarespace, it's basically. Drag and drop the part I want into the page, and the page works. That's what I want in a website builder. Plus, they do commerce very well. If you want to sell something, Squarespace is awesome. It makes it really easy to set up a store, to accept orders securely, and to make the whole thing look good.
Yeah, And folks, this kind of the point of this is that there's so many services out there that you may not even know. If you have something you want to do just a little research. There may be somebody that is already doing it, and for a very nominal fee, you can get them to do it for you and solve the problem.
Zapier. You know about Zapier?
Zapier?
Yeah.
No.
Zapier is the glue that connects all these things. So if you are using, say, ConvertKit and Thinkific, now it turns out Thinkific and ConvertKit both have APIs that talk to each other, and so setting up communication between them. So if someone clicks something in an email in ConvertKit, I can send that to Thinkific and either give them an account and a password, or all kinds of stuff I can just do. So I lost my train of thought, but it's all totally. I don't do anything, I just click a few times, and all the hard stuff is done behind the scenes by somebody else, and it's cheap. How much is Squarespace? I think $12 a month, $10 a month, $8 a month. It's not very much.
Yeah.
And I have a commerce, I have whatever the next thing up is, and it's still only $20 a month. That's not bad for running a business off of. So yeah, another time we can talk about the stuff like Zapier and Acuity scheduling, which is where you can schedule an appointment with me. You've seen those calendars. I use Acuity scheduling. I know there's a couple of those. I used to use a couple of things for forms, though I haven't used any lately. But there's lots of cool stuff when you're doing online marketing.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back and we'll chat about some of those
another time.
Yeah, because right now I want you to go and hide under the bed because the storm sounds like it's intensifying.
It's only 5:45 here, 5:40, and ordinarily that would be mid-afternoon here. I mean, it doesn't get dark till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, but it's almost nighttime dark outside.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird. It was beautiful out this afternoon. I went for a walk right before we went on the air, an hour before I took the dog for a walk. I didn't see a cloud in the sky, no thunder, nothing.
Well, that's
go figure.
The weather changes. So, workingsmarterformacusers.com is where you can find all of Bob's stuff.
That is the best place. Sign up for my insiders mailing list, and I will send you every so often. I've given up on saying weekly because some weeks I don't do it. But most weeks I'll send you some tips and hints and other free stuff on Tuesday. And the best deals on stuff that I sell. So if you're on the insiders list, you'll always get whatever the best offer I'm making in media is, and then some. So sign up for the list. It's free. You can always unsubscribe if it doesn't please you, but you got nothing to lose and time to gain.
Bob, it's always a pleasure. I really appreciate the time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Well, thanks for having me. Anytime. I love being on your podcast because you let me talk about anything I want.
Keep your head down. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We will be back with Bob to hear more about what he uses to put together everything at Working Smarter for Mac users, his opinions on Apple, Catalina, Garageband, the new version of iOS, and anything else that comes down the pike. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.